Geeks Unite! It's time for the Flashpoint Podcast. I am, of course, your host, Zachary Hare, and with me is the double P, Philip Parrish.
Hi, everyone.
So, we actually are able to do the first episode of the podcast a little early because apparently Santa left a little something in our stockings early this year.
Us and the whole free world.
Yes, but we like to think it's just for us because he likes our podcast.
Of course.
So, we get to see the style and the attitude of the... And we see right from the beginning they're going for a little comic book silliness because they actually have the scene where Barry says, I wasn't fast enough. Really?
You knew that was coming.
Oh, I knew it was. And we see right... Well, we already knew this from the backdoor Arrow pilot that... Well, it was hinted at that... Because obviously it's the Reverse Flash. I mean, there's no maybe about it. We know that's Professor Zoom.
Yeah, if you're a comic book fan, you know that.
Yeah, I mean, because for those of you who don't know, the Reverse Flash is an enemy, one of Flash's worst enemies. He's a psychopath from the future. His costume is the inverted version of Flash, yellow instead of red, and red where it's yellow. And you can see the mask plainly if you go back and watch the episode with Arrow, and a bit in this one too. So we know that's what they're doing here. So it's interesting to see how they're going for this, and we see it also in this show. We have Detective Green from Law and Order.
Don't you mean Detective West?
Well, and hey, maybe we'll get some singing out of him.
Singing?
Yeah, he was in Rent. He's a Broadway singer, dude.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, I will teach you as we go. Now it looks. I think if we can say it looks like we can tell right from the ages that we're probably not going to see Wally in this show.
Yeah, I mean Barry seemed pretty young, so I don't know how young Wally would be.
Okay, and we see right from the beginning from the crime that they're going for the whole Barry. Well, we know from Arrow he's doing the Barry's always late thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, so apparently Barry Allen is Sherlock Holmes from the BBC Sherlock, because when he looks at stuff, you can see what he's thinking. First thing I thought of, I'm like, oh boy. And then he takes. Oh, can I just say, I've seen this actor before, and he's all right. That is the worst delivery of a line I've ever seen. My father gave me that pen before he died. It's like, were you reading off to the side from a cue card?
Yeah, it really didn't seem too much emotion behind that.
And here's the thing: if the pen is something wouldn't you grab him? It's like, hey, that's my. Or who keeps a pen your dad gives you? And here's a big one. I've always wondered about this kind of thing. Who the frick gives a pen?
Cheap father.
Here's something as a gift. Something that will wear out in a day.
Don't let any of your coworkers stick it in poo.
Yeah. Or animal fecal matter. And so we see that they're following the comic. It looks like they're following the comic pretty closely.
Yeah.
Which, as we know from DC Comics, not easy to do.
Yeah, no.
I mean, comic books are known for changing storylines, and Marvel's done it now and then, but DC is notorious. Like, whenever something happens, they're just like, oh, it's a different Earth.
Well, yeah, every crisis DC's had, every reboot, yeah, it's kind of hard to follow this.
Yeah, that's why I don't even try half the time. I just enjoy the character as we see.
What about that ending?
We'll get to that. I know this is the Flashpoint podcast, but don't race ahead. So we see, like he's a friend. Now, I hope they use that in his superhero, because I think in a lot of the comics and a lot of adaptations of Flash, they forget that he's a forensic scientist, and he should use that in his superheroing.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what would make the show unique. It could be half like police procedural and a half superhero.
Right. So we get little references to, of course, him being in Starling City. Although I thought it was kind of weird that we don't see that Felicity wasn't in this.
Yeah, I guess they were kind of. It's a
because we know she visited him when he was in his coma.
Yeah, but
not even a mention.
It was only an hour, and I guess they were trying to set up all the the regular co-stars. And
I did think it was kind of stupid, if we can reference Arrow, how they handled that. It was like, oh yeah, Iris has been visiting him. She's like his girlfriend. It's like, and she just took that as face value. Oh, I guess he has a girlfriend even though he's in coma. I will never speak to him again. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes no sense. I think they did all that just for that, and we'll talk about this when we do the Arrow podcast, but it's just so they could have that big twist thing that they did at the end of the season of Arrow.
Yeah, unless they're saving the whole Felicity thing for further in the season.
It's just like, just give them. And okay, so let's talk. Well, that gets in the CW thing. Always, CW's been doing a decent job with Arrow, and it looks like they're going to do a decent job with Flash. But the thing is, it's still the CW. I swear to God, they're going to just ruin the show with a love triangle with Thane and Barry and Iris. And oh God, was anyone else just groaning during that whole? There's something I need to tell you. No, just once. I want to see someone go, "Shut up and let me talk. I'm trying to tell you I love you."
Oh, that's no teen angsty CW show, though.
I know, but it's like, I want to tell you something. Let me guess. I mean, you look like you're about to tell me you have feelings for him, but instead, let me crush your heart with my fist by telling you I love you as a friend. It's like, yeah!
I know you just got out of a coma, but...
It's like, I know what you're about to say. Was that what you're about to say? Anyone who, I mean, if you've known someone all your life, you can tell when they're crushed. Obviously, he's like, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So we get the whole storyline of the whole Barry was killed by, any comic book geek knows, Reverse Flash. Forgot the future. He's investigating, and there's instead of just a random lightning bolt, this is actually steeped in science. And if I remember from the comics, it looks like they try to even get the color scheme of the chemicals right.
I don't know.
Because I've seen that image a lot. It looked pretty close. I mean, just the look of it looks like they try to do it pretty good.
I'm sure they probably just threw a bunch of, as many colors as they could in there.
It just happened to look like...
Yeah.
You gotta like that line, though. The lightning gave me abs. And actually, that's one of the few times it would make sense. Like,
yeah.
That it is conceivable that his powers would give him muscles.
It'd probably be more realistic if they didn't give it to him right away. Maybe even if by the end of the episode... Well, he was in a coma. His body was doing... So it's not like it happened instantly. Yeah, but maybe like by the end of the episode, just from all the running and everything he was doing.
Oh, I see. Maybe. So as we see, he wakes up after the lightning bolt, and he's got Killer Frost and Vibe with him. Because for those of you who don't know, the names of those characters are characters from DC Comics. One's a supervillain, the other's a Justice League member. So do we think... Because, do these people love their fake outs?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it's really going to be that simple that he becomes Vibe? I mean, I know she's got the depressing storyline, but I don't know if she's going to... Do you think she's going to be Killer Frost?
I don't know. Did you see the big bit of casting news yesterday?
Ooh, I did not. Tell me. Share.
Robbie Amell is going to play Ronnie Raymond.
I see.
Who we know is at least half of Firestorm, who's encountered Killer Frost, so...
Well, one of the versions is like so much. It's again, he's like one of those characters. Hasn't there been like 3 of them?
Yeah, I mean, there was a point he was Firestorm by himself. He's merged with how many other people?
Oh God, I've always thought Firestorm was pretty cool. Definitely cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I wish I could have a famous cousin that would get me acting work. Jeez. Bitter, yeah.
Well, maybe they gave Stephen Amell that instead of a raise.
Yeah, right. Instead, we were gonna give you a raise next season. We're gonna give your cousin some work. I mean, do you realize how it is? It's like, this is Stephen Amell's cousin. Do you think he's gonna get some work? Come on.
Yeah.
But that's got to be a hard. I mean, Firestorm. That's got to be a hard effect to do. Now there is a little Easter egg here. We see that there is a gorilla cage.
Oh, a gorilla cage. I think they had the word "grodd."
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did, which worries the hell out of me.
Why?
Well, as we said in the Meet the Host episode, because as much as Grodd is a great Flash villain, that's not going to be easy to... Well, you said it best. The best way to handle it would be have him in the shadows, have him be a behind-the-scenes villain.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he's there worries me because if they're going to make it so the lightning storm made him intelligent, that means they're completely saying no to Gorilla City.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see Solovar or anyone. So I don't know.
I don't know, unless... I don't know how they're going to pull it off. Whether he was already intelligent because he came from Gorilla City and the storm just gave him telepathic powers.
Ooh. Now there you go. That I'd be fine with.
Yeah, there's ways to do it. Hopefully they do it the right way.
Well, I don't think they've. Well, I'm a little worried because as much as I like Arrow, they don't have the best track record with villains. Look what they did to the. We'll talk about this in the other podcast, but look what they did to the Count.
Oh yeah, there's news about the Count too.
Oh, good, but we're talking about. So hopefully they do Grodd justice because he is. I've never seen a bad adaptation of him. I never have. Batman: Brave and the Bold, he was good. Justice League, he was good. Some of the DC movies, and then the Flash comics, of course. I've never seen a bad adaptation of Grodd.
But those are all animated.
I know. Oh god, it's gonna be. If they do a guy in a suit, there will be rioting. Oh, they won't, though. I mean, they would never make. They'll do CGI motion capture, but like you said, the best way to do it would have him be in the shadows and behind the scene, because he's not a TV show. Doesn't matter what. It's a TV show. Even the highest, it's gonna look. Even a lot of movies, he wouldn't look fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, the second he starts talking, although I suppose they could just have him telepathically talk, that would help probably. But we'll see. So what else should we mention in this so far?
The villain?
Yes, Weather Wizard. Now, I've said this before. I really hope they don't make the mistake of killing the villains every week. And could someone tell Barry to keep his freaking mask on? What was that? It's like, the day is. I see, and you can't tell if the wind knocked it off or if he took it off because he's wearing it one shot and he's losing it the neck.
Yeah.
Now I do like how he wakes up and he gets all the stuff, and this is a reference when because I think that's pretty much in one of the versions of the comics that's how it was. He first got the powers and everything was moving slow, and in the comics he quickly put it back together. Although when you think about why did no one see that, but yeah, he gets that. He starts. Oh, come on, that scene. My heart is fine. I'm like, what is this, Tarzan? Two worlds, one family. But yeah, so and luckily when he's running, he just happens to find a soft place to land.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I love how it's like, oh, there are others like you. Oh, how about that? Could have told me that before.
Yeah.
And I like he sees the Weather Wizard, which is what he's called in the comics, but he's dead now, so okay.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Well, is he dead? We're not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he got shot in a place where in TV lore, if you get shot in the shoulder, you can survive. Although he knows what Barry looks like, so
yeah.
Who knows?
Plus, there were two brothers in that plane.
I was thinking that. Because
we never saw the other brother.
Maybe the other brother will dress up like the original comic, big green costume.
Maybe, yeah, because I think in the comic the Weather Wizard's name was Mark Martin. They're called this guy Clyde, so maybe
what was the other? Do we know what they meant? Well, they probably did. But
in the show, I can't. If they did, I don't remember.
Was it Chris Martin? I'd love to see him get taken care of. I want to hear another album again. But now something we definitely need to mention is Detective West's partner. Detective State. Now, again, Professor Zoom, the Reverse Flash's real name was, I'm probably not going to say this right, but it was like Eobard Thawne, and his name's Edward Thane. Now, as we said, these people love their fake outs. So, in my opinion, this guy is one of two, technically three, but really it's one or two. One, he is the Reverse Flash. Two, it's a complete fake out. Just like, because if we remember from Arrow,
yeah,
they did the same thing with Tommy. We all thought Tommy was going to be the Dark Archer. It turned out to be his father.
Yeah, it could be a fake out just because if they they follow the comic book really closely, Reverse Flash was from the 25th century. This Eddie Thawne might be an ancestor.
That's what I was thinking. That could be a version of the fake out. Well, they might. I mean, do you think they'll have because we know there's future elements in this, but of course, in one of the more crazy backgrounds, Iris was from the future.
Yeah.
Which was oh god, it was just dumb. Oh, also, I think I should definitely bring this up. Do you happen to know how Iris found out Barry was the Flash in the comics the first time?
Didn't he talk in his sleep or something?
I swear to God, that was those pesky Silver Age writers.
I was gonna say that was how long ago.
But still, it's like that idea. I mean, if they do something so silly. Now the professor is feeling great. Now we see that he's affected in a wheelchair, or is he?
So are we to assume he's a time traveler then?
Who knows? Okay, now viewing in the future, that makes me think of Professor Morrow, but Morrow was never benevolent ever. I don't think it. But there is one guy who's a scientist, sometimes a mad scientist, but did have his good side, and I was getting kind of that vibe from him, Professor Magnus.
Yeah.
The inventor of the metal. Now, of course, he's the inventor of the Metal Man. He was more a builder than a thing, but I get kind of that vibe from him. Oh, and did you see the little Batman reference?
What was that?
You didn't see that on the newspaper?
I might have missed it. What was that?
In the bottom left of the future newspaper, it says Wayne Tech Queen Industries merge.
No.
Yep.
I think that front the big headline got my attention.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Red Skies is a reference to anything.
Well, it said Red Skies and it mentioned the crisis.
Well, it said in crisis. So we don't know if it means the crisis.
But yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earths. I believe they had Red Skies.
They're never gonna. I don't know if they're gonna have Crisis on. I mean, because come on, do you realize how many DC characters they'd have? Also, it would be a great way to introduce the Justice Society.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, they gave a date of how much in the future too. So I mean,
now, do you think this is going to be his version of the island? Like every episode, maybe the newspaper article changes a little.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, could it be Barry eventually finds the paper?
Oh, he probably will. We know he's going to find out eventually this season or next. We don't know, but he's probably going to find out.
And so maybe he makes it his mission to try to avert the crisis.
Maybe, but I mean, I can't wait to find out. Is he, like we said, is he a time travel? Did he know about the accident before it happened and he let it happen so the time stream would be contained? Or like what does he know? Who is he? What is he? Why is he faking?
Or how about this theory? If he traveled from the future, could his arrival in our time have caused it?
Well, we don't know because we don't know how the character, like how established he is, how long he's been known.
Yeah.
There are a few time travel characters in DC Comics. Now, as much as I do enjoy the show, I am more of my comic book knowledge is better with Marvel than DC. I know a good amount of DC, so there are a few time travel characters that he could be, or he could be an original character. We don't know.
Yeah.
Now, that room was obviously future tech.
Uh-huh.
So what does that mean? We don't know. Now, after he gets his power... Now, one thing... I mean, it's a bit of a nitpick, but it's really not. I just found it weird how we didn't get a reaction from Oliver. We get a little cameo from Stephen Amell because he needs advice on being a hero, but it's like, oh, so you're a super fast speeder now, and you're not in a coma anymore. Well, how about that? There was no reaction.
Well, it seems to me, I think they kind of picked up in the middle of their conversation. I think we missed that, the first interactions with them. Like, hey, look, I'm out of a coma, and look, I can move at the speed of light.
I know, right?
Yeah, I think, there might have been an hour or two conversation before we actually,
Maybe it'll be opened up a bit more. And we don't know when, because, he was in the coma during Arrow, but we don't know, I think it might have been after the events of the first season. Or maybe, it's hard to tell. We'll probably elaborate more on it, because I'm not sure how the shows link up. We'll probably find out when the shows both come back in the fall. They're probably more letting us know, like, how they sync up, because they're going to have a crossover.
Yeah. Or you never know, they just throw in the smallest little detail, like Channel 52 might mention the same thing in in each episode.
Channel 52?
Yeah, you never saw in Arrows, every time they showed like the TV.
The channel, I never noticed that the channel is 52.
You haven't noticed? Oh, we'll save this for Arrow, but they throw the number 52 in that show so much.
Really? Oh my God, I never really noticed.
Yeah. Remind me to bring that up in the Flash. I mean, in Arrow, they bring that number up so much.
So I guess they're probably going to string us along, give us a little hint about who he really is throughout the whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I like how they had the whole. It's like a knockoff from Spider-Man. Don't ever tell her who you are. It's like, oh
yeah, it's like, okay, Captain Stacy.
I know. I was like, oh God, stop copying other stuff. I like now. Okay, let's talk about practical things. What do we think about the look of the costume?
I like it. I mean, I wasn't sure about the leather, but I think it grew on me.
Oh, it's not leather. It's a polymer.
Yeah.
It does look a little bit like Ben Affleck's Daredevil costume.
A little bit, but not quite as bad.
Yeah, oh god. But yeah, I mean, one thing we have to accept, comic book geeks, we have to accept. When you're doing a live action version,
it's never going to look as good as it is on the
because
page.
Imagine how stupid Wolverine's outfit would look in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, in the comics he looks like a badass, but in real life he would look. I'm not saying you couldn't modify, but in real life the ears like that he would look ridiculous.
Yeah.
Although the outfits from the X-Men were retarded, so let's not go into that. But yeah, I'm curious to see how they're going to explain him getting in and out of it.
Super speed.
Yeah, I mean, like, does he keep it in his shirt? Does he keep it in the back? You know, does he speed off and get it? Or I'm curious to see because that's one of the toughest explanations I've ever seen in comics. Like, I always find it funny that Spider-Man in the comics almost always keeps his Spider-Man suit under his shirt. Like, there's never a time where the light hits it and someone goes, "Hey, what are you wearing? What's under your shirt? What you got there?"
Well, that's why you always wear a heavy shirt.
Yeah, it's a miracle he's never been attacked at the beach. But yeah, I think for the most part I like the cost. It's not too bad, so I'm okay with it. It's not like some costumes I think I'm like, ugh. Now I wonder if they're gonna, because one thing we haven't really seen too much in this universe is the villains dressed up. We've seen a couple of examples, but not that many. I think the only, unless I'm missing something, I'm pretty sure the only villains who have dressed up are Deathstroke and Brother Blood. I mean, other villains have had like accoutrements, but I'm pretty sure those are the only villains that have had like a real closely to the comics outfit. Although I don't mind that for Deadshot too much because I've always thought his comics costume was just weird.
Mm-hmm.
But we're digressing. So for Flash, we see a few references here and there. And the main villain is Weather Wizard, who probably dies. But yeah, they'll probably bring... Ooh, that might be a good dynamic. He blames the Flash for his brother's death.
That's right. And remember, we never saw the brother's body. Comic book rule number 1, if you don't see the body, they're not dead.
Actually, comic book rule is it doesn't matter if you see the body. Death is never
true.
Dead. I mean, just the way people... I mean, look how they did Booster Gold's fake. I mean, he literally took his corpse from the future and put it in Metropolis. So
I know.
Oh God, I hope we see Booster. I love Booster.
Yeah, this would be. We already see the time travel elements. This would be the perfect spot to put him in.
So yeah, and so overall, I'm liking this. I mean, it's just like they said. It's a little lighter. I'm really curious to see what villains they're gonna have and how they're gonna handle. Because we know. Well, I just hope Grodd isn't just a reference. You know, like the Amazo was. I hated that. I was actually mad because Amazo has always been one of my favorite villains. Just the android that can't be defeated except through certain, like, you have to be really smart to beat him. Although I think they ruined that in Justice League too. But whatever.
But Amazo was, I mean, it was just a name on a boat. Grodd, they actually went to the trouble of putting a cage. You know, there was the cage and everything.
Right, that's true. I guess we're gonna just have to wait and see.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I think we've touched upon of course we meet Barry's father, who is he played by, Philip?
John Wesley Shipp.
And who is that?
He was the Flash on the original television show in 1990.
Yes. So that is a really cool reference. I'm curious to see where they go with that.
I remember watching that show thinking, where does he keep that suit?
Yeah, his suit was. See, and that's an example of they made the suit look almost exactly like the comics, and it did not look good.
It looked foam.
Yes, it did. It looked so. Well, if anyone would like to see the worst, the Incredible Hulk show, I'll forgive because that was the 70s. You don't have a big budget. But the worst costumes. Did you ever see that when they tried to make a Justice League live action TV show?
I saw a few pictures. I never saw the
I've seen it. I've watched it. It's horrible. They've ruined every single character.
Yeah, the pictures I saw.
And the villain in that is a guy who controls the weather, but he's not the Weather Wizard. He literally calls himself the Weatherman.
Oh, I hate that.
And it's not the Weather. All they would have had to do is call him the Weather Wizard. Nope.
It's like, why, DC? You own the character.
Now, interestingly enough, another casting announcement. We're going to see Superman.
Oh, yes, I heard that.
Brandon Routh, who I feel bad for him because he never should have been Superman. It's not his fault that was a bad movie. It's not.
Yeah, the script was bad.
And he's all right. Like, did you ever see that Dylan Dog movie he did?
No.
It's not that good, but he's all right. I think in the right. He keeps his. I think he's saying yes to whatever he can find. He needs to start nitpicking his scripts.
Yeah. I don't even know if him as Superman, but he did a good Clark Kent.
Yeah. Well, it's not. Well, I don't know if he did a good Clark Kent. More often, he just didn't do a bad Clark Kent. You know what I mean? Because he was just trying to be Christopher Reeve, and I think that's one of the things that held back. But now, do we think he's going to be the Atom or just Ray Palmer?
Well, once again, like you said, they like to fake us out every turn. So
I think it'd be interesting to have Blue Beetle.
Yeah, Ted Cord, yes.
Well, we do know Cord Industries exists in this universe. They have established that.
But I mean, we have this. If they make all these people who they're supposed to be, we have a nice little league here. Arrow, Flash, Firestorm, Atom.
Yes, indeed. And well, I wonder if any of our characters has powers, like Vibe and Killer Frost. They just haven't told anyone yet, like they're keeping it secret.
Yeah, I don't know.
And really, I gotta say something. An explosion that gives a bunch of people powers. Static shock anyone?
I don't know if I like that a lot. That's like the season 1 Smallville one incident gives so many different people powers.
Although don't get me started on Smallville. I don't care if people, because probably a few fans of the show are watching this show. I couldn't stand Smallville. I literally could. I thought it was horrible.
It had its good and its bad points, but it's just, I don't know. I just don't like following that same the same formula.
Yeah. Now, I think one thing that definitely, even though of course they did the whole "don't tell my daughter" thing, it is interesting that he knows right from the beginning that Barry's the Flash.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you think that's going to play out?
I don't know. It'd probably be kind of interesting. He won't have to make excuses to him where he was at. He could help the police out on cases.
Although this is another thing with Iris, and this is one of the few. The Green Lantern movie had this point, and I thought it was the best point anyone's ever made about comic book disguises. Did you see the Green Lantern movie?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, it was bad, but that's beside the point. There's a scene where he's talking to Carol, and she knows although they weren't really clear if she knew the whole time, but again, that's beside the point. She says to him,
I know it's you. You think I can't tell it's you just because
I've known you since we were 10. You think I don't know it's you because I can't see your cheekbone.
Mm-hmm.
To Hal. And it's true, because Iris. Now, people who only know him from work, fine. But Iris and her father have known him his whole life. If they try to pass off that she can't tell it's him, come on. I mean, with Arrow, you could get away with it because he had a voice changer and he wasn't really and he was always in the shadows. And he had but come on!
Unless he doesn't stop to talk to her.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean,
because if he moves quick enough, you can make an excuse for why she doesn't recognize him if he's moving quick enough.
Although he's not going to have a voice changer, so
yeah, just don't talk to her.
Yeah, right. Don't stand so close to me. So I think we've touched. I mean, we've talked about the event. I mean, this is a good pilot, but it was very much a pilot.
Yes.
I mean, there's really not much to talk about for this episode.
This is mostly setup. Yeah.
Right now, it was good setup.
Oh yeah.
And although we got to wait like 2 months before we find out what the next step is.
That's what I told you. I don't want to wait.
I know. Well, and we all got to sit around while everyone else watches it going, I'm so surprised this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone asks where we found out about this pilot, we would never condone online streaming if anyone asks.
No.
No, that would be wrong.
Yeah. Maybe at the beginning of this episode, should we have said spoiler alert?
If they're watching this, they know.
You want to know.
Now, did I miss any Easter eggs? I've watched it a couple of times, trying to think if I missed any more Easter eggs or hints or reference. Oh, of course, the place where they test drive his powers is Ferris.
Yes.
Now, that's the second Green Lantern reference in this universe. The first was Oliver's cop girlfriend who I'm completely blanking on her name.
Yeah, so mine.
But everyone knows who I mean. When she got hurt, she went to Coast City.
Yeah, that wasn't even the only Green Lantern reference. When he was on the island and they were going to shoot down that plane, it was I think it was a Ferris aircraft.
Really? I probably remember that, but it's a one-off. So
yeah,
I think that's most of it. I believe.
Yeah.
Did we miss anything?
I don't believe so.
I'm looking for. I hope they don't go too far with the whole Barry and Iris thing, because it's the CW, and it's because actually stuff I'll talk about in the Queen. Because remember, everyone, you've been listening to the Flash Forward. Really? Did I just do that? Remember, everyone, you've been listening to the Flashpoint podcast as part of the Flash Arrow Power Hour. So don't forget to check out the Queen Consolidated podcast, which is connected to this one.
Yeah, it's good. Listen to it.
Good selling, Philip. Good selling. Now, once I do like when they're doing when he's trying to tell him he controls the weather. He's like, he cannot control the weather in the episode. Okay, so he can control the weather. Apparently, I'm a dick. It was like, I like how they wrapped that up in one episode. It's like, there's no such, well, I'm taking my foot out of my mouth. Now, I wonder if they're going to address, like, he knows all this time he thought his friend was guilty. Now he knows he's innocent. How is that going to play out?
Oh, yeah.
Because they can't investigate it. What are they going to say? Hey, have you seen a yellow streak around here?
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll have to see how that plans out. Although it's kind of bad that the guy who controls the weather had a gun. It's like, what the frick? And we didn't even get to see Barry dodge a bullet.
Yeah, I know.
But like we said, we gotta wait almost. Does it come back in September?
No, I believe it's the beginning of October.
Ah!
Yeah, it's like October 7th or 8th, whatever that Tuesday is, I think.
It's not quick enough.
I know.
But I'm hopeful. I am hopeful about the show.
Oh yeah, it was a good pilot. You could tell just by the fact we don't want to wait for the next one.
And I think this actor makes a good Barry Allen. I mean, he's not like a complete goofball. I think some Flash adaptations make that mistake. They make him goofy. Now he can be a little funny and silly, but not goofy.
Yeah, no, he seems like a good. I was worried that he seemed a little young, but
yeah, me too. But he's it really shows his acting chops. You can see the change in his character. He's been working on it since being on Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be good to see who pops up in the coming episodes. I think that there's things. Why don't you say your goodbyes, dear Phil?
What?
I said, dear Phil.
Okay. Well, everyone, hopefully, we'll see. We'll talk to you in the fall.
They can see us?
I hope not. But you can hear me on my other podcast, Before the Bat, the Gotham podcast, the other DC show coming this fall.
And for me, right at the moment, you can hear me on the Longmire Posse podcast. This podcast is coming along really good, really fast. In the fall, I'll be doing an elementary pod to show the podcast for elementary, as we know. Well, it's the Baker Street podcast, so it's the all-encompassing home podcast. And the hunt for my co-host for that podcast is still going. And also, of course, the Sleepy Hollow podcast with the illustrious Dawn, which we're all looking forward to see. And, of course, me and the beautiful, the vivacious, the smoking Phil. We'll be doing the Queen Consolidate podcast and the Flashpoint podcast in the fall. And also, speaking of DC, you will hear me. Now you got me saying C. You will hear me in the premiere episode of the Constantine podcast, with Lilith, although I'm not sure who her co-host is, but we'll see. But you're going to hear me in the premiere. And I've made her promise, if Etrigan or Swamp Thing pop up, I'm coming in on that episode. Now, I was wondering, I wonder if we'll have, I know the shows aren't being connected, but NBC and CW are owned by the same people, so I wonder if we'll see a crossover there. Probably not.
Probably not. Maybe we shouldn't. I mean,
probably shouldn't. that world really needs to stay apart. But again, like the Flash, I'm going too fast, going too much. So, to all of us here, remember to check out the other shows, because in the fall, apparently, we'll be back in a flash.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.